Okay, as we're in the city I now call home, which is Los Angeles, it would be rude if I didn't take you on a little tour. Let's start with my home studio, where I do the show each and every week. Welcome to my home studio here in Los Angeles. This is where the magic happens. The Friday night show and the Essential Mix each and every week is put together in here. I moved over a couple of years ago. I was lucky enough to make my name in the late 80s and early 90s with the dance music explosion in the UK and Europe. It didn't happen that way in America. It only really took off over the last 5 or 6 years. Now, this city in particular is home to so many of the biggest DJs and electronic music producers and writers on the planet. I'm glad you're with me. I'm going to put you in the car and take you on a little tour of my new hometown. This is actually where all the famous old kind of rock and roll clubs are. This is actually a big nightclub, One Oak. And then you got the Roxy straight away, which is where U2 played last year. And then you got the Whiskey A Go Go. And then the Viper Room's down here on the right, which used to be owned by Johnny Depp. But this is the Chateau Marmont, legendary hotel, very classy joint. And so here is Sound Nightclub. Looks quite humble in the daytime, but usually there's 500 odd people outside here. So behind me here on Las Palmas in Hollywood is Sound Nightclub. This was the place, it was kind of my first residency when I moved to LA. So we'd be doing this like 4 or 5 times a year, maybe 6. So I had many a great night in here. Holds about 800 or 900 people, intense sound system, predominantly underground in terms of what they book here on a weekly basis. They're open 3 or 4 nights a week. So Kobe is a fantastic host as well. So if you're in LA, you come to visit, definitely come and check out Sound Nightclub. Eric Prydz, thank you for inviting us around your house.
Tong, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We live in the same city, but we don't see each other very often. I know. It's a big city. You have found an incredible spot. You are literally quite, I shouldn't give the game away because you don't want loads of techno tourists. But you are very close to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in my backyard almost. Yeah.
There are many DJs living here now.
Yeah.
There's some of them are in the hills right around us here.
Yeah.
Do you bump into many of them?
Yeah, no, Steve Angelo lives just across the little canyon here, and yeah, I mean, I got like DJ Muggs and Paul Oakenfold and Photech and
Cypress Hill.
Yeah, they all got the kids. We got the kids in the same school.
And in terms of DJing in LA, have you got a favourite club?
Yeah, actually, Exchange down in downtown.
Which is where we're doing the Essential Mix on Friday.
Yeah, it's a really nice.
It's a bank.
Yeah.
It was a bank.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a glammy nightclub. It feels more like, it has this warehouse feeling to it, which I love. That's a really good place.
Okay. Big difference between playing in London versus playing in Ibiza versus playing in LA?
I think everyone in Europe at this time in age, is very educated. We had the dance music culture for 20, 25 years, and over here with this new boom in electronic music, everyone is super excited and super hungry, and they want to, really learn about the music, and there's an excitement here that I used to see back in Europe 10, 15 years ago, So that's one of the things I love over here.
The EDM sound, well publicised, has been so massive here, particularly in somewhere like Vegas. But it feels like things are about to move on. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do think that it's because you have kids that, 18, 19, and they go to their first festival or something, and they see all the EDM acts, and it's very accessible music, even for someone who's never heard electronic dance music before. So it's kind of that way into that world, and when you listen to that music for a few years, then obviously you will want to refine yourself, and you start looking for new things. And I think that we're kind of in a transition period now where you can really see that starting to happen.
You've got an amazing studio just over here. Is this where you've been making we were just talking about it, it's your debut album.
I know.
I must have known you for so long. I can't believe you didn't make one before.
This studio is actually, it's brand new. So I've been building it for the past year and a half actually. So I did some of the final touches here, but the album and the tracks on it has been written, I would say, of the past 10 years, really. I'm super excited that it's out in 2 weeks. I can't wait to share it with the world.
Eric Prydz, thank you.
Thank you.
You know how we do. Tong, live from LA, baby.
So this is the beginning of the kind of the Hollywood Boulevard that is known around the world starts at La Brea. It's funny now I live here, this is the one place I hardly ever come actually. This is not the Pete Tong Hall of Fame, this is the Hollywood Hall of Fame. This is the Man's Chinese Theatre. It's very famous, a lot of premieres there. Every other day this street will get shut off for the opening of something. And then the Kodak Theatre here is where they stage the Oscars. Which doesn't look much from the outside, it always looks a bit of a mess to me. Madame Tussauds. It's kind of tacky. And this is the famous Capitol Record building. Probably one of the most iconic buildings in Los Angeles. So behind me, another legendary club opposite the famous Capitol building is Avalon, a place I've played many times over the last kind of 15 years. A theatre, different to sound, 1,500 people, 1,800 people capacity. Home, as you can see right now, to Eric Murillo, Morgan Page, amongst others. You know, one of the classic Los Angeles clubs. So here we are in Silver Lake at Little Pine, which is Moby's new restaurant, opened just before Christmas, highly recommended. I'm going to be talking to a Detroit native that moved to LA. His name's MK. MK, how are you?
What's up, man? How are you?
When did you move to LA and why did you move?
I was in Detroit until I was around 20, and I was working with Kevin Saunderson, Derek May, all those the techno guys.
The legends.
The legends, yeah. And I was dating a girl that lived in New York, but I would go to New York every once in a while to just hang out. And I also loved the music that was coming out of New York. And I just figured, like, you know what? She's there. I like the music there. You know, and let's just go for it. So I was in LA for 10 years, and then.
Well, before.
I mean, in New York for 10 years. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I just kind of got over New York for a minute, and just wanted to come out here. And it was right after 9/11, because I came out here to do work with David Foster. And a lot of people I work with, they live in LA anyway. So I came to do like a couple sessions with David Foster. And then just fell in love with LA.
It's always been a creative center in LA. It's always been like the songwriting, the songwriter center. But now it's like attracting all these DJs.
It's funny because like in the 90s, like New York was like the hustle state. It's like people would you would wake up and do music. LA, people would come here and they go have coffee or go, you know, they hang out. And you know, LA's just kind of been that place. Like once you're successful, you go to LA. Even from back then, that's how the scene was.
I mean, there's definitely a Detroit sound, there's a Chicago sound.
Yeah.
You definitely say around disco and the garage, you know, New York had a sound. Do you think LA's got a sound in terms of its place in dance music?
They're getting it. You know, they're open to it and they're understanding it. And so, you know, I see that a lot.
Does LA have an influence on your sound, do you think? Or do you travel so much?
I travel so much, I don't even know. You know, I listen to your shows. To get ideas, I have to listen to something just to get inspired.
MK, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Pete. Awesome.